Hi, I'm Joseph Crudup, and welcome to my storybook. Today I'm going to read this book called that you have never seen before. She had been the warning. She had been the tracking field. Her ups and downs, her trials and tribulations. It's called A Tracking Field's New Wave, Marion Jones. I hope you enjoyed this book as much as I did. Let's begin, please. Chapter 1. From Thundermist to the Spell. Some athletes are thrilling by anger, others are inspired by love. In her remarkable career as a basketball player and track star, Marion Jones had lived both often at the very same time, strong, independent, and gifted, with a great mind and tremendous body. She was following she has followed her equal path to stardom. Marion's mother, whose name also is Marion, came to the United States in 1968 at the age of 22 from the Central American country of Belize. She was married briefly, had a son, Marion's older brother, Albert Kelly, then divorced. She moved to California in 1971 and married George Jones. Marion's father. Marion was born in Los Angeles in 1975. George left the family when his daughter was very young. He continued to live nearby in Los Angeles, where he owns a lawnmower, but he has had almost no contact with Marion since he left. To this day, Marion does not know or understand why. In 1983, Marion's mother moved the family out of Los Angeles to the quiet town Penndale. Then she met Alan Toto, who became her third husband. Alan was a great stepfather. While Marion's mother worked long hours at the transcriptionist, typing in the records notes of doctors and lawyers, Aaron stayed home and took care of their kids. That meant he and Marion's coach, trainer, and driver during the time she was discovering her great talent for sports. As a result, the two became extremely close. Marion was a tough little kid. In fact, the other children called her hard nails. When she set her mind to something, there was no way to talk her out of it. She did not like to play with other girls, so she hung around with Albert and his friends. At first, they did not want to let her play in their games. She seems too long and too small. Soon they were afraid to let her play. Mero was faster, stronger, and more coordinated than they were. Wherever spot Morella tried, she quickly mastered from T-ball to soccer to to T-ball to soccer to gymnastics. She even excelled at ballet. At the time she was 9, Albert had introduced her to Pee Wee track, and her name was beginning to appear in the local sports pages. At 10, Marion was national champion for her age group. Meanwhile, she also was the star of the Penndale Little League. All she had to do was lay her back on the bar and just outrun the draw to first. If one of her first, if one of her hits foul, if one of her hits found its way into the outfield, she was around the bases in a flash. Life seemed preferred to Marion. She felt she could achieve everything. Then the, then the horrible news came. Aaron had suffered a massive heart attack. He was dead. Chapter 2. Marion was devastated by her stepfather's death. Her mother, also heartbroken, faced the family. Willa was devastated by her stepfather's death. Her mother, also heartbroken, feared the family would fall apart without Ariana to hold it together. Realizing Marion had a great future in sports, she encourages her daughter to become a world-class athlete. It will get her goals and take her mind off the tragedy. Marion Toller knew her daughter would not reach her potential in a remote area like Penadale. The family had to move closer to Los Angeles. Big Marion, Little Marion, and Albert found a small apartment in Sherman Oaks, an prosperous suburb north of Los Angeles, in the sports crazy San Fernando Valley. The family selected Sherman Oaks because its junior high school, Poncast, had an excitement athlete program. Marion flourished at Pencrest with better competition and coaching and began developing a whole talent for sprinter. Willa was a natural. She explored out of the starting blocks and then just keep going faster. She won many races by laws instead of inches. When Willa was 13, she got the thrill of her life. She was introduced to Jackie Joyner Cuz, one of history's greatest all-around athletes and Willa's all-time hero. I got to shake Jackie's hand. She remember she remembers. I don't think I washed my hands for weeks. When Willa was raised for high school, the family moved again to the nearby town on Camarillo. She attended Wells High School and became the star of the track team. When Miller began to show great talent in basketball, she had taken out the game as a seventh grade. Her mother moved the family again to Dyson Oaks, which had good track and basketball programs. Soon Miller was a national celebrity during the spring of 1991. She recorded the fastest times of any high schooler in the 100, 200, and 40 meters. This performance led to an appearance on ABC TV's Good Morning America. That spring, Marion was invited to compete at the U.S. Track and Field Championships. She watched every move the sports superstar made. High athletes like Jackie Jordan, Curtis Cussy, and Carl Lewis handling themselves during the warm-ups and informed the press. She learned how the other competitors look at these great athletes and realized that there was a lot of physicality to competition. It is most easier to beat someone who is set to lose. She saw, from that day on, Mara will always try to intimidate her rivals. Meanwhile, Mara's basketball was becoming pretty intimidating. She used her intimidating. She used her quickness to smother opponents on defense, and her wild speed to bust out on the fast break. Mara's shooting and ball handling skills were secondary for a player of her age, especially one who played forward, and she was a rebounding powerhouse. By the time she turned 16, Marion, who stood up 2 inches short of 6 feet, could leap high enough to touch the rim He was one of the top schoolgirls ball players in the country, despite yellow Miller's basketball and spoilers. Big Miller believed her future lay in the track. In 1992, at the Miller's Atlanta Taylor's, the high school backup for the 200 meters, her mother talked Elliot Mason into giving Miller special training. Despite her daughter's age, she thought Miller could make the Olympic team heading for Barcelona, Spain that summer. Mason, who had once coached Evelyn Ashford, one of America's most successful sprinters, agreed. Mason helped refine Miller's sprinting technique, making a small adjustments in the way she carried her arms and positioning her head. Mason explained that against the likes of international superstars Gail Stevens, Ingela Miller, and Gwen Torres, a tenth of a second could make the difference between making the national team and watching the Olympics on TV. Not as easy as it looks. In the spring of 1992, Miller attended the Olympic trials. She needed to finish in the top three in the 100 or 200 to qualify. Unfortunately, Miller finished fifth in the 100 meters. In the 200 meters, she missed third place, seven one hundredths of a second. The good news was that Miller was invited to join the 4x 100 meters relay team as an interrogator. After taking it over with her mother, Miller made a startling decision. She informed the U.S. Olympic Committee that she would not attend the games. The American sprinters were almost guaranteed to win a gold medal in the relay, but it was unlikely that Mason would participate in more than one or two qualifying races. To stay in front of the world and set the gold medal, she had not honor seemingly won to her. I knew I wasn't going to get a chance to win in the final, she said. When I got my first gold medal, I want to have sweating for it. Chapter 3. Feeling sensational. Miller returned, to Thousand Oaks for her senior year. Her performance for the basketball team was something special. She turned out the league and averaging 200.8 points and 14.7 rebounds a game. She was named California's top high school player. During Miller's first track session at Thousand Oaks, she had little competition in the sprinters. That is when she became interested in the long jump. It seems natural to try it. She could run fast and jump high. Could this be any more completely? Miller soon discovered that it was. The long jump requires an athlete to be precise that exposed their career all in the span of a few precious seconds. Mess up any part of a jump and you have to junk it. That though of course. The lift off in a mid machine must be bladed perfectly. Moira found or much of her power will go to waste. Often she will change down the runway so fast they threw off the rest of her timing. Girls will come not stay close to Miller in a sprint sometimes. I'll jump her by a foot or more. One of the few world-class sprinters who also mastered the long jump was Carl Lewis. He did so by accurately slowing down his opponent and concessionally contacting him merely on his left off. Mara found this almost impossible. She knew only one way to run, and that was as fast as she could. On those rare occasions when anything clicked, however, she achieved some eye-popping distance. At the 1993 California State High School Championships, Marion hit the pit at 22 feet, 120 inches to win the meet, coming up just 2 1 2 inches shy of the national schoolgirl record. When it came time to choose a college, Marion decided to leave the West Coast and also to focus on basketball. This brought the hearts of the coaches at California schools like UCLA, USC, and complete outrage in people in the track board that had always thought Miller was theirs. And as she rose to national performances, a lot of people in the sport hoped to become famous riding on Miller's cocktails. Miller's Miller, still fiscally independent, became uncomfortable with so many coaches and officials surrounding her all the time. So she decided to take a break. I love tracking. I love tracking. I want to keep it that way. She explained. People in track try to climb to me. I need to get away from that. Melo liked basketball because it was a great team. She eventually accepted a scholarship from the University of North Carolina. It was my only official campus visit. She remembers. I just fell in love with the school and the state. I walked down the street and people said hello to me. It was so different than in California. Mother's mother supported her decision. Caroline had great communications and Mother's mother supported her decision. Caroline had great communication and joined its department in a excited record graduating more than middle water students. And Mother was assured she could continue competing in track if she wanted. Mother also found UNC's basketball team very impelling. I needed discipline, She admits. And the Carolina basketball program is very stressful. Chapter 4. Getting to the point. When Mother arrived at UNC, Coach Sullivan Hatchell called her into her office. Mella was a high schooler who followed her entire basketball life. Was told she would now be the team's backup point guard. This Miller at first, Mella accepted the challenges and began to learn the skills her new position demanded. She came early into practice and stayed late. Working on her ball handling and passing full games into her freshman season. Marion took over the starting job, and fleet-footed point guard impresses the defense into mistakes. Miller, who possessed a world-class sprinter speed, creating ultra havoc after a rebound. Her teammates will foul the ball to her, and she will streak down the court, often reaching the other basket before the defense had a chance to turn and set. Tar Heels opponents were so terrified of Miller's speed that often, when they missed a shot, they automatically turned and ran as fast as they could the other way. This made rebounding very easy for Carolina. When the 1993-94 season began, the experts ranked the Tar Heels around 10th in the country. By the end of the year, thanks to Miller and upperclassman Tyron Sullivan Carley. and Charlotte Smith. Caroline had just 2 losses. Everyone was raving about Miller, even those who had criticized her for turning her back on the track. Despite their spectacular 27-2 record, the Tar Heels were still consistently underdogs in the 1994 NCAA tournament. Tennessee, led by Nikki McCary, and Connecticut with Twin Towers, Rebecca Lobo, and Carol Walters, looking unbeatable. But this was Carolina's law. This was Carolina's year. Miller was on top of that whole game. Smith was shooting and rebounding like a monster, and Sampson was scoring at will. One by one, UNC's opponent failed. UNC opponents failed in the opening round. The Tar Heels nearly doubled Sutton's score, 101 to 53. Next, Old Dynamo went down 63 to 52. Venezuela went above Carolina in the tournament series, lost by 4, 73-69. Connecticut, a huge favorite, was humbled by Miller and company 81-69. They focused the Huskies into making 30 turnovers, and Sampson scored 30 points against Lobo and Walters. Purdue, an assigned team, failed to take the Tar Heels seriously. The Boilermakers clamping down on Sampson, and so Miller kept feeding the ball to Smith. He scored 23 points in an 89-74 victory. And just like that, the Tar Heels find themselves in the NCAA championship game. UNC's opponent in the final was Louisiana Tech, a school that had already won the national title twice. Like Carolina, however, Tech was a Cinderella team in this tournament. The Bulldogs have set Mississippi, Tennessee, Southern California, and Alabama to reach the big game, and they're too well on a roll. The championship game was a tense silver battle. Miller ran the floor, ran the, ran the floor like a windlaw, and Smith rolled the ball with 23 points. 23 rebounds. But in the final minutes, Tex Pam Thomas scored 10 of her team's final 12 points, including a baseline jumper that gave the Bulldogs a 59-57 lead with just 15 seconds left. The Tar Heels came back down the court, and Sampson fired up a 12-footer that clapped it off the rim. A mad scramble ensued. Miller, one of the smartest players on the floor, used her speed to go after the rebound and grabbing the ball at the same time as a tap player. The referee whistled a jump ball. Everyone in the Richmond Coliseum turned to see how much time was on the clock and which way the possession hour was pointing. It was Carolina's ball, but there was less than 1 second left in the game. Whoever got the ball for Carolina would have to catch and shoot in one mortar. In a opposing test, Louisiana Tech coach Leonard Ballward thought the Tar Heels would throw the ball to the 6'5" Collier and decided to double team her. This allowed Stephanie Lawrence to inbound the ball without a defender in her face. Miller, Charlotte Smith, and Talon Sampson raced around to get open. Crowley, already busy with 2 defenders, and set beautiful screen on a third tap player to free up Smith. He sprinted towards Lawrence to receive the inbounds. passed just below the 3-point line. As soon as the ball touches her fingers, it was on its way. Miller standing open as Martin at the foul line, watching along with a cavalier crowd with a record television antennas and diners, as somehow Smith's shot floated right into the basket. What had looked like a crescent 59 to 57 feet was transferring into a heart-stopping 60 to 59 victory. Miller, Miller and her teammates went bonkers. She had never felt this way before. They were national champions. It hardly seems real. No sooner had Miller first celebrated USC's national title than she found himself at the NCAA Track and Field Championships. Although she failed to win the event, Miller did well enough to earn All-American honors in 4 categories, including the long jump, in which she finished second. It was a long basketball season, she says in her defense. I had 1.5 weeks of practice before the Nationals. Chapter 5. Ulysses. Miller continued to improve on the basketball court. She was named team co-captain and advanced 17.9 points and 4.8 assists as a sophomore. For the second year, she led the Tar Heels to the Atlantic Coast Conference (ACAA) title. The team finished with a 30-5 record, but was eliminated by Stanford in the original final of the 1995 NCAA tournament. Although track and field was no longer the focus of Miller's athletic career, she still competed and did well. After both her freshman and sophomore basketball seasons, she joined the Tar Heels track and field squad in time for the ACC championships in 1994. Miller won the 100 meters and the long jump, placed second in the 200 meters, and was a member of the Carolinas medal-winning 4x100 relay team. In 1995, she won the NCAA long jump title again. Once more, Miller was invited to compete in the NCAA Track and Field Championship when she finished fourth in the long jump and earned All-American honors again. Most athletes will be pleased with these performances, especially since they came in at second spot. But Miller felt she was going backwards, although she was winning events in college and making All-American teams. She had failed to improve on many of the potential best she had established in high school. Miller knew what the problem was. The muscular upper body she had developed for basketball was not helping her as a sprinter, and it was weighing her down in a long jump. While in 1996 Olympics little more than a year away, Miller had a decision to make. She believed she would make the U.S. basketball team, which was planning a long international tour pouring to the Olympics. She also thought she could meet the U.S. track team if she would have reshaped her body for her best events. That summer, Marion decided she would go for the gold in track, but first she wanted to play basketball for Team USA in the World University Games. This turned out to be a big mistake. During the tryouts, Marion broke a bone in her left ankle. This put her Olympic plans in jeopardy because she would not have time to let the ankle heal and work her body into world-class form. Doctors told Marion Her only choice was to have screws instantly in her bone. The ankle would be strong enough to let her begin her workout after just a couple of months. Muller had the operation. Part of Muller's training regime involved jumping on a trampoline. That winter, while bouncing trampoline, that winter, while bouncing, she landed afterwards and bent the screws. Any hope of competing in the Olympics was now gone, just as she had in 1992. Muller, Muller watching the games on television and was left to wonder what might have been. Marion's ankle did heal in time for the 1996-1997 basketball season, which was a great relief to Coach Hatfield. During Miller's layoff, the Tar Heels had flopping. Things got so bad that after the 1995-1996 regular season, Carolina was not even invited to participate in the 1996 NCAA tournament. Thanks to Miller's, USC was one of the top seeds in the 1997 NCAA tournament. She had a sensational year, in averaging 18.6 points and 14.8 assists as the team went 29-3 in the tournament. However, the Tar Heels' luck went out after an impressive win against Harvard in the opening game. Carolina struggled to beat Michigan State in overtime against George Washington University in the Dole Mound. Marion and her teammates went ice cold in the final minutes and let the game slip away. It was a disappointing end to a great season. Little did anyone know it would be Marion's last. Technically, Miller Jones was able to play one more season of basketball for the University of North Carolina. The school had redshirted her after her foot injury, so in basketball team terms, she still had her senior year in the classroom. However, Miller had completed her senior year and was ready to graduate and a degree in journalism. Staying in school for the sake of playing ball seemed silly. Once again, Miller had to choose between basketball and track. The success of the women's dream team at the 1996 Olympics had led to the creation of two professional leagues, the American Basketball League (ABL) and the Women's National Basketball Association (WNBA). Miller was told she could be a star in either league and make a handsome living from hoots, something that seemed impressive just a few years either. Funny, but the more Miller thought about basketball, the more she realized that she missed track, having to watch the Olympic sprinters and long jumps for the sidelines. And Prussian summer was one of the most difficult experiences of her life. Deep down, Miller knew that if she turned her back on the track, what this time, she would be the one wondering why. I love my time at Carolina, Miller says, and I love playing basketball. I have 4 years to get an education and thought about what I wanted to do with my life. I realized that what I wanted to do was track, which was always my first love. That March, she informed Coach Haswell of her decision and began to prepare herself for her new career. Chapter 6: A Man with a Plan. When word spread that Marion was ready to resume the war, war, the reaction was a big law. The experts had seen this happening 100 times before. Promising long athletes get lured into team sports in college all the time. When they decided to return to track, they discovered that their bodies are fighting against them. In Maria's case, people assumed that the quickness she had department as a point guard would rob her of her sprinter speed, and the vertical leap she had participated for basketball will keep her from explosion into her long jumps. Marion knew she would encourage these problems and often discussed her fears with her boyfriend, C.J. Hunter, a world-class shot punter. C.J. first met Marion in 1995 while working as a strength coach for the Tar Heels track team. Right after Marion decided to devote herself fully to track, CJ introduced her to Trevor Graham, a former Olympian who had a reputation for unorthodox coaching methods. He remembered seeing her years before in high school and thinking she was special. Graham watched Miller a couple of times and couldn't tell if she still had it. He made a few mild technical suggestions, and Miller could feel the difference immediately. It was like automatic results. She marveled. That had never happened to me. Miller was excited, and they talked some more. She realized that Greyhound thought about sprints the same way she did. Several weeks after her final jump shot, Miller found herself at the U.S. Track and Field Championships with a new coach and a new attitude. Greyhound thought had taught Miller to start thinking about a race or explosions of energy. Instead, each sprinting race was a series of strides. By finding little ways to improve each stride, the time it takes to reach the finish line will go down dramatically. In Miller's case, she mostly needed to be more patient. You can only run fast if you stay relaxed. She explains, tense up, and you can't attend at full raise of water. When the, when the heats for the 100 meter spun began, no one paid much attention to Miller. But by the time the field had been rightly down and the participants in the finals were determined, Miller had everyone left in the record books in the semifinal heat. She had broken the tape. She had broken the tape in 10 to 92 seconds, one of the fastest times in history. In the final, Miller ignored the mind games the more experienced Wani was trying to play and just focused on the 100 meters ahead of her. She blew out the starting blocks and won as easily that she absolutely slowed up at the end. In the long jump, Miller went up against her idol, Jack and Jonah and Cassie, who had won this event the previous 7 years in a row. After just a couple of jumps, it was clear that these two would be fighting it out for the gold. Miller took the Miller took the lead. Then Kelsey passed her in the final attempt with a distance of 22 feet and 8 inches. On Fraser, Miller responded with a jump of 200 feet 9 inches to win the event. Miller's two gold medals surprised the sport war for the division. I played a basketball player, for the Division One basketball player to come out and blow away son of the best track and field athletes on the planet was hard to believe. For the rest of the 1997 season, Miller will provide she was for real, gaining confidence and experiences, and consistently fine tuning her technical. She won two more gold medals at the World Championships in Greece in the 100 meters and as part of the United States four times 100 relay team, and establishes herself as the woman to beat by smoking the sport's top sprinters throughout the summer track season. At, okay. At year's end, Willa was the number one relay rated number in the world at 100 and 200 meters. It was more the elite long jumpers. It seems incredible, but Marion still had plenty of room left for improvement. Who could say what she might accomplishments in 1998? She will be fully focused on track. Chapter 7. And it's short or perfect. The dream of every athlete is to have perfect season. In most sports, this is impossible. A baseball player cannot get hit every time he comes to the plate. A basketball player cannot make every shot. A tennis player cannot win every point. A football player cannot score a touchdown every time he carries the ball. In track, perfection is possible. You can indeed win the final of every competition you enter. Andre Morse, the great handler of the 1970s and the 1980s, won 89 consecutive finals in the 400 meter hurdles and had perfect years 8 times. Willa did not dare to dream such dreams. Her goals for 1998 were to do well again at the U.S. Track and Field Championships, win a couple of gold medals in the Good World Games, and finish the season on a strong note at the International Automotive Athletic Federation World Cup. When the year was done, Marion had won the finals of every single race she entered. In all, she was unbeatable at 4 different distances in 1998: 60 meters, 100 meters, 200 meters, and also 400 meters, an event she had not entered since high school, ever when she was part of the relay team. When a team makes a mistake can lose a race, Willa did not lose. At the U.S. Track and Field Championships, she became the first athlete in 50 years to win the 100 meters, 200 meters, and long jump. At the Good World Games, she took gold in the 100 and 200. At the Green Free Finals. At the Green Free Final. The year's top European event, she won the 100 meters and the long jump. And at the World Cup, Marion established new personal best while winning the 100 meters, 10.65 seconds, and 200 meters, 21.62 seconds. The only thing Marion lost in 1998 was the whole final competition of the season, the World Cup jump. Until then, she was also perfect in this event. Whether she was exhausted from a long season or tension on the ring spinning track is hard to say. But Marion attempt of 200 feet, 11 3 to 4 inches, fell just short of the winning jump by German star Hickling Dislip. I'm still thinking about the loss, admits Marion, I couldn't get over that the season was over and there was no chance for redemption. She got the last. She got the last say. That's the reason. It really all ate me up inside. Fortunately, there are like several alien in this long dark curve of 1998 mirrors. Second place first get the United States team the overall championship by the reason them 2 points. Miller earned a year as the world's top-ranked runner in the 100 and 200 meters, and she was the number one long jumper. The only other woman in history to accomplish this was Elvin Streisand, the Russian star of the 1960s and the 1970s. The only man to earn a year rifle first in these three events was Carl Lewis, with the first when the time came to choose the sports top athletes, the winner was Jones, with her winning ways and unbeatable smile, was everyone's favorite. She won everything in sight that winter, that winter, including the Progressive Jackson Owens Award, the best part of the past season. However, came in October. Marion and CJ got married. It was a great ending to an incredible year. Chapter 8, Hard Target. In 1997, Marion had embraced her sport. No one saw her coming. In 1998, she had been the woman to beat in every event she entered, and obviously she responds to that challenge. Yes. The challenge for 1999 was a little more complicated, with the 2000 Olympics on the horizon, and only one major international event, the World Championships. Miller's task will be to find a balance between winning and preparing for the year ahead. As she discovered, this could be tricky. The temptation for any athlete coming off of a history making year is to try to repeat. The fans are paying a lot of money to see you break some records, and it is only natural to want to please them. You cannot afford to make it easy because everyone else is trying to beat you, but you cannot push too hard either. Finding this balance was impossible for Moore. He puts tremendous pressure on herself and high expectations of her own ability. Going into 1999 World Championships in Seville, Spain, she said she would like to win four, something no woman had ever done before. Unfortunately, Willa fell short of this goal, winning just two medals and only one gold. In the 100 meters finals, she just napping large Inga, Inga Miller at the tape. When the excitement titled 10-point Saturday, but in the long jump, she first started behind Spain's Nicola Monterola and entered its front in May. Though disappointed with her bronze medal, Miller told reporters she was satisfied that she had given it everything she had. She and Trevor Graham was simply had to work harder to improve um, her technique. Miller's fans still had hope she would win four golds. There was the 200 meters, plus two relay races left. If the U.S. coach would let her compete in each, Willa can still do it. Any thoughts of this happening ended the next day when Marion came out of the barn in the 200 miles, and then suddenly stopped, clenching her back and screaming in pain. The cry after Estella elliptical grew husky as Marion crumbled into the track, twitching and lonely. She was washed off on a stretcher, while CJ at her side. 2 hours later, she walked gallantly from the American station to the waiting van and returned to her hotel. The good news was that the injury appeared to be back sprains, a musical injury that usually is not serious. The bad news was that Bora will have to cancel the rest of the 1999 schedule that left the spring and early summer of 2000 to heal, fine-tune her body, and get in shape for the Olympics in Sydney. It was both the scariest and most exciting time of Marion's life. Finally, after missing her chances in 1992 and 1996, she was going in for the gold. Chapter 9. Maybe the greatest. When Marion Jones made the decision to make track and field her full-time job, she had three goals: win 5 Olympic gold medals, break Florence Griffin Jones' record for the 100 meters, 10.49 seconds, and Glenn Casalazar marched for the long jump, 24 feet. With anyone else, you might be tempted to shake your head in disbelief, but with Mara, you get the feeling something historic can happen at any time. Indeed, by the time you read this, she may already have written any or any of these goals. Regardless of which records she breaks or fails to break, Miller's contribution to her sport will live forever. For a brief time in the 1980s, sports fans were capitalizing by the exploiting of track stars. In the 1990s, interest in dropping off and the sport suffering. Marion changed all that. She not only made people want to attend track meets and watch them on television, but also made them afraid to turn away for fear they might miss something. As a result, millions of fans discovering the sport's other stars. As the 21st century begins, track and field is no longer buried in the back page of the sports section. More often than not, it is front page news. Sprinter Quinn Graham, who thinks her looking stars that Miller only debuted in her specialty, the 400 meters, said it best during Miller's ruinous 1998 season. It's great to have someone like her in the sport. Observe ground. People come to see her in action. Then they learn who the other athletes are. So is Miller's the best track and field athlete ever? She said, not yet. I don't deserve the title right now. I still consider Jackie Jordan Kelsey the best female athlete and probably always will. She says, to be the best ever, Clarence Miller record will have to fall. Not that they want. Until the day she hangs up her spikes, Miller will never lose sight of what she wants to accomplish. Before my career is over, she says, I will attempt to run faster than any woman has ever run. I jumped farther than every woman had jumped. And then what? Look out. Sherika Hosgard. She'll probably want to play in the WNBA. And that's the book of the ESPN of Marion Jones. Well, I think that's going to be the last page. That's the last page to have just reading. Just hard that I've been reading this book. Track and Field's New Way. Marion Jones. This book that I read. That's all you have to. That's all I have to say for now. I hope you enjoyed this video of me reading this book. Until then, I'm Joseph Crudup. I will see you next time. Till then, peace and love.